This is Dominique Wilkins.
Hey, this is Sean Kemp.
This is Gary Payton.
Hey, this is Pau Gasol.
NBA fans, what's up? This is Vince Carter here.
Hey, what's up? This is Matt Barnes. If you're an old school NBA fan like I am, make sure you check out the Basketball Time Machine with my man Sean David.
Hello, good day, everyone. Welcome back to the show. I'm Sean David. Thanks for tuning in. Let's talk some old school basketball. In today's episode, we got a special guest, two-time NBA All-Star, Danny Manning. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Danny, usually my first question is basically always the same question. I always tend to ask my guests, what players did you admire before your NBA days? But with you and your playing style, especially with your size, I think I know who you idolize, but still I want to hear from you. Who were the players that you were looking up to when you were a kid?
Players that I looked up to when I was a kid playing professional basketball, I feel it's kind of unique from the standpoint of my father played pro basketball. He played in the ABA and NBA, so I had a chance to see guys in different settings and environments growing up. And so for one, the first person was my father. My father was a journeyman, if you will. He was someone that had to do all the small things. He was a guy that provided glue for teams, whether it was setting picks or jumping on loose balls or doing other things that didn't get a lot of notoriety, so to speak. And so he was the first person that I really admired. And then from there, you know, I got a chance to see Julius Erving in practice, and I really didn't know what was going on at the time. I'm just sitting on the back of the goal at a practice, and they're practicing, and he dunks it, and I just start shaking because I'm sitting on the backstop of a goal. And so, you know, moments like that, where you're sitting in the locker room and being around the pro players I had a chance to be around. And then as I started to really grow in my love and appreciation for the game, it was players like Magic.
There we go. I was waiting for Magic.
Yeah, well, for me, at my height, you know, I enjoyed handling the basketball. I like passing the ball. I like dribbling the basketball. And those two guys really made it a little bit more acceptable for players my height to be in that type of role. Now, when I'm playing on the playground, you know, you get a chance to do all that. But then you get an organized ball, and some of the coaches that I had growing up were just like, hey, get it to a guard or did it. And I'm saying to myself, I dribble better than the guard. I pass better than the guard, too. Now, he might be a better shooter than me, but, you know, so, you know, for me, seeing those two guys especially was something that I really enjoyed.
Did you ever tell Magic or Larry that you admired them?
No, I didn't. Not in those words. I think, you know, for me, when I first came across both those guys, it was in a competitive setting. And, you know, I get drafted in 1988 by the Los Angeles Clippers, and I go out to L.A., and I'm petrified. I'm scared to death of what's happening out in L.A. just because I go from a high school kid to Lawrence, Kansas, and from Lawrence, Kansas, I go to L.A., a booming, great city that I really enjoy and love now. But I was scared when I first moved out there. So, you know, you're playing pickup games with all the guys are out in L.A., and Magic is in the gym. And a lot of times whenever I'm playing pickup games, I got matched up on Magic quite a bit just because of our heights and, you know, similar type skill sets. And so for me, it was just trying to, you know, one, compete up against them, and two, I'm sitting up here thinking like, oh, I was watching this guy on Sundays when I would come back from church or, you know, before we had our family meal on Sunday. This was a guy that I'm watching. And so, you know, I never really said that to him, but I definitely did appreciate him. And then for Bird, the same thing. You know, you get out on the court and you're competing against Larry, and, you know, he's Larry Bird. You know, he's the guy that had on my wall. I had Magic on my wall with those posters from Converse, and it was just like, wow. This is, I've made it. You know, I've gotten to a point in my career where I'm competing up against the best of the best, and I felt very thankful and blessed for those opportunities.
Now, you already mentioned you were drafted in 1988, and you were the first pick of the draft. Do me a favor, please tell me, what were your expectations going into the draft?
Well, going into the draft, my expectations were to show that I belonged when I stepped on the court. You know, that was my mindset. You know, they had the draft lottery, and when the Clippers won the lottery that year, they held up a number 25 jersey with Manning on the back. And so I just assumed at that point that when the draft came around, I was going to be their pick. I remember, I think we were in Olympic trials in Colorado Springs. And, the lottery goes on and Clippers win and, they hold up that Manning jersey. Then I think I had to go out there and we were trying out for the Olympic team. And so for me, when the draft came about and I was selected number one, I felt so many different emotions. I was thankful. Felt blessed. I felt fortunate. But I also felt like it was a huge challenge, which it was, to be the number one pick and to go to a team that you were going to try to help at that particular time elevate their status in the NBA. And it was a great opportunity for me. I get drafted with Charles Smith, Gary Grant, those guys. We came in together. In the year before that, the Clippers selected Joe Wolf, Ken Norman, Reggie Williams. And so we had a good nucleus for a young team. And I enjoyed my time in L.A. and really grew very fond of that city and that West Coast type of mentality coming from Lawrence, Kansas.
Now, you had to perform right away when you came on the Clippers team, and I think you were averaging like 36 minutes in your rookie season. How was your transition from playing college ball to suddenly play against guys like Karl Malone, James Worthy, the Barclays of the NBA? How was the transition? How did it feel different? Was the physicality different? What do you recall from that?
My transition to the NBA was probably a little bit more advanced than the typical rookie, and that was because we were playing on the Olympic team. And Coach John Thompson, rest his soul, was our coach. And so we played a lot of exhibition games against pro players, pro NBA, AllStar teams that they would throw together at different locations. And so I got a chance to compete up against those guys for quite some time. Then also when I was at Kansas, Coach Larry Brown, Hall of Fame coach, won a national championship and an NBA championship, had all types of different players come in the summers and work his camps and have different workout sessions. So I got a chance to get a taste of playing up against some pro players before I actually got to the NBA. And so my transition was probably not as wide as maybe other players that didn't get that opportunity, but the physicality of the game was unreal. It was wrestling at its best, trying to get post position when you're trying to post up. The hand checking rule, guys will lock in and put that hand around your hip and that thumb and just kind of, we're going to go over here right now. So why don't you just come over here with me? And you're dribbling the ball like, how is he controlling my body like this? And so definitely knew that I needed to get stronger to be able to compete in that league. And that's something that, you work on. Every off season, you would go back and you would say, I need to get better at this. I need to work on this. I need to bring this back to the table when I come back to the court. And so that was the mindset. But definitely the physicality of the game was something that I was not quite used to. But you figure it out rather quickly because if you don't, it's gonna be a long year for you. You have to embrace the physicality. And I was not a physical type player. I was more of a finesse player. But I had to embrace the physicality to a certain extent to continue to evolve and grow.
Was there any specific player you were looking forward to play against? Anyone where you wanted to see, okay, how well can I guard this person, or is that person able to guard me? Any specific guy?
Not really. For me, it was every night you had a chance to show as a young player in the league, as a number one pick. I want to show I belong in this league. I want to help my team win and be successful, but I also want my opponents to know when this game is over. I want to be able to look at them and have them look at me and go, okay, I got respect for that man's game. And so that was the mindset for me, just making sure that whatever I was doing to the best of my ability and trying to help my team win, but also letting my opponents know that I was going to be able to hold my own on most nights. And that's not always the case in the NBA, because there's some nights you're going to play up against a great player and it's just not going to be your night, and it happens. And, I realized that my very first game in the NBA, I got drafted by the Clippers like we talked about earlier, and the owner of the Clippers at the time was Donald Sterling. And for lack of a description, I'll just say he was unique. And so I didn't come to a contract agreement until right before the start of the season. Like, the night before, the day before the first game, I'm working out. I'm not in LA. I fly to LA. I take my physical. I go to the gym, and I played my first game without a practice. And that was a traumatic experience in itself, because I had the rude awakening of trying to guard Eddie Johnson from the Phoenix Suns. And Eddie was a knockdown shooter, tremendous footwork, smart player. And, you know, for the life of me, I'm trying to figure out, how do I get around this pick? How do I guard this guy? Because no matter what I was doing, he was finding a way to get open. And so for me at that point forward, is just like, okay, welcome to the NBA. Let's figure it out. So night in and night out, you had a great challenge, and it was to show that you belonged. And also, you didn't want anybody to go for a career high on you. That was probably the biggest thing defensively. You didn't want to be on that tagline or be in his bio in that regard.
I appreciate the honesty. The next couple of years, you helped to turn the Clippers from one of the weaker teams into an actual playoff contender. And in 1993, I think you made the AllStar team for the first time. And we have to remember, at that time, on your position, you had guys in the Western Conference like Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, Sean Kemp, and so much competition. So how satisfying was it for you that you still made the AllStar team, even though you had so much competition on your position?
Being named an All-Star was a tremendous honor, and I felt very fortunate and blessed. But you know, everybody's story is different. Everybody's unique in their journey. And so for me, my rookie year, I blew my knee out. I blew my ACL out. And so at that particular time, Bernard King was in the midst of his comeback. I had a college teammate named Archie Marshall who blew his knee out in college and came back from that a couple times. And so for me, I knew it was possible to come back from that injury. But yet and still, it was considered career-threatening at that point in time. And so to be able to come back from an ACL and make the All-Star team was something I was very proud of. I had great doctors in Stephen Lombardo from Kerwin and Jobe, great master therapist and Clyde Brewster. I had wonderful trainer and Carl Horn and Johnny Doyle and Thomas Archie were people that were challenging me and pushing me every day in rehab to get better. Support of my family and friends, you know, my wife and my kids were always great motivation for me. And so to be able to get to that point after going through that injury was something I was very proud of. And throughout the course of my career, you know, I'm the only person that I know of that's played in the NBA on 3 ACLs during the course of their career. And so being fortunate enough and blessed enough to come back from that injury, and also, you know, I worked hard to get back, you know, and it was hard. It was tough. But it was something that I wanted to do, and I'm very fortunate to be able to accomplish that.
By the way, you're actually the only guy I know who came back from 3 torn ACLs. Yeah. And I'm a basketball historian. I'm trying to think of who else, but nobody. No, I don't know anybody. In 1994, you get traded to the Atlanta Hawks, and this is a two-parter question. Question number 1, what was it like being traded for the first time? And number 2, how tough was the pressure that you had to replace Dominique Wilkins?
Getting traded was something, that was just a different experience, just to be honest with you. There was talk for probably about the last year or so when I was with the Clippers of possibility of being traded, and there were some different team names that popped up, and you know, you hear about it and you prepare for it when you hear it, but it's completely different when it happens. You know, so when I got traded to Atlanta, I was excited from the standpoint of it's a new experience, a new opportunity for me. I had a chance to play for another great coach in Lenny Wilkins, who was a great Hall of Fame coach. I loved his demeanor and mindset. Excited. But I understood what Dominique Wilkins meant to the city of Atlanta, to the state of Georgia when I got there, because, you know, I'm a player in this game, he's a player, and the way the trade went down in my eyes is the Clippers and I could not come to a contract agreement. The Hawks and Nick at that time couldn't come to a contract agreement, and so they basically just traded two guys, they couldn't come to contract agreements for each other. And so the very first night I get introduced to the Atlanta Hawks crowd, I'm not even playing. I believe I'm in a suit because, the time hasn't passed, so I don't know if we both had passed our physicals at that point in time. And I get booed. And this is my new team, and I'm playing, and I get booed. And it's just like, damn, like, okay. That was a traumatic experience in itself, just from the standpoint of I'm excited to be there. Then you walk out in the court, it was like, boo, boo. And, you have to understand that, wow, are they actually booing me, or are they booing the fact that they don't have Dominique here anymore? And so for me, coming to grips with that was unique and challenging in itself, and just created a different mindset in terms of what I wanted to accomplish when I was on that team, because my whole goal was to make sure we continued to do the things that they were doing when Dominique was there. I was not going to replace Dominique. We were two different types of player. He was exciting. He did so many great things on the basketball court in Atlanta, in the state of Georgia, and he was a beloved figure. I mean, there's a statue of him outside the gym right
Yes,
now.
yeah.
So, I knew I was not going to replace Dominique, but I knew I could help the team continue to win and be successful. And, I thought I did a pretty good job of that. Along with the players on that team, they welcomed me with open arms, and they gave me a chance to contribute in ways that I could contribute, and not necessarily in the ways that Dominique did.
Now, this question is actually the first time that I'm going to ask a guest that question, but and it's a little bit off track, but a friend of mine told me that question yesterday, and I thought, okay, hey, I have to ask you that. So, first time that you see an NBA trading card of yourself, what were you thinking? Question number 2, what was it like playing a video game and playing yourself on a video console?
Well, the first time I saw an NBA trading card of myself, a lot of emotions kind of ran through me, because I collected those cards when I was growing up.
Nice.
I collected the baseball, the football, the basketball, you know what I mean? And I put them in the spokes of my bikes and hear them click, 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 click when I ride my bike. And so when I see my face or image on one of those cards, it was just like, wow, I'm fortunate, I'm blessed. And so that was kind of the mindset that I had through that. And, it was just kind of a moving type deal, because I had shoe boxes full of cards that I was collecting from football and baseball. And so it was really unique in that regard. And what was the second part of your question?
Did you ever play, or what was it like playing your own character on a video game?
Being a character on a video game was really cool. Actually, about a month ago, my wife and I were looking at we were in a store that sell pool tables and dartboards and things of that nature. And we saw the NBA Jam game. And,
the classic one?
The classic one. And
Nice.
we're sitting there, and it's just like we're wearing our mask. And so, but still kind of, I can't hide. I'm 6'10", not too many 6'10" dudes walking around. And so for me, I sat there and looked at that video game until I actually popped up on the screen with Ron Harper.
Yes.
That was my guy. That was my man. And so to see that was kind of like, wow, that's pretty cool. I'm gonna have to get this game and put it in my basement. Now, I don't play video games, but I think from just a way back in the day point of view, I think it might be cool to keep around.
You just mentioned Ron Harper. It's actually not on my question list, but I have to ask you. Ron, to me, is one of the most underrated players ever. Because many people don't realize that when he was playing for the Clippers and for the Cavs, he could score. And even though he was not a great shooter, he could play. He could really, really hoop. And he came back from some serious injuries too. You, as a former teammate, can you please tell my listeners and my audience how good Ron Harper was?
Ron Harper was a beast. Ron Harper, when he was in Cleveland and he was competing up against Jordan and all those talented wings in the Eastern Conference, he was right there neck and neck with them. And got traded out to L.A., and I'm going through an injury, and he gets out there, and then he goes to a similar type injury. And so we've connected and bonded on so many different levels, but he was a tremendous basketball player. And you could see that throughout the course of his career. You know, he changed his game. He went from a dynamic, high-flying type of scoring guard to a more positional, multi-positional type of player that could do everything. And so you look at those teams he played on that he helped win championships. When he was playing for the Lakers and playing for the Bulls, he was doing everything. He was guarding the other team's best wing players. He was switching on bigger players. He was setting up the offense. He had a tremendous understanding of the game, and he was someone that definitely made me a better person, made me a better player, and very thankful for all the time we got to play together, because I played with him more than any other player in my history in the NBA.
Nice. In the mid-'90s, you joined the Phoenix Suns, and suddenly you're playing with basically your all-star competition, Charles Barkley. Suddenly you're playing with him on the same team, and I feel that the Phoenix Suns team really, really fit well to your playing style, at least from my opinion. I always thought that it was a match made in heaven, because they used to play run and gun. They were playing wild, and there you were. I have no idea if that's true, but the crazy passes the lobs and the alley-oops that you would pass, there was quite a few on the Phoenix Suns time. Is that right?
I enjoyed my time in Phoenix. You know, for me, Phoenix was the first team that I got to choose where I wanted to play as a free agent. And I'm so thankful that I had that opportunity to play for the Phoenix Suns, to play for Jerry Colangelo, and we had a really good team. Charles Barkley, Kevin Johnson, Dan Barley, just to say, those three guys were probably the names that register the most with the Phoenix fans. And to step into that clubhouse and to play with those guys was a lot of fun. And it's something that I'm truly thankful and blessed for. And, yeah, we played fast. We got up and down the court. And then throughout the course of my time there, I get a chance to play with Jason Kidd, Steve Nash, and so it was just like, wow, this is a lot of fun. I'm playing with guys that make me better. I'm playing with guys that enjoy passing the basketball, and we hit it off. And so really enjoyed my time in Phoenix.
In 1998, you win the Sixth Man of the Year, and I talked to a couple of players who came off the bench and were awarded with the Sixth Man. Was that satisfying for you, that after all that sacrifice that you have to make, because you could have been a starter on 99% of the other teams, but you sacrificed in coming off the bench, and your numbers, by the way, were better than most guys have when they're in the starting lineup. How satisfying was it that you won the award and that you got the confirmation that, hey, people appreciate what I did coming off the bench?
Winning the Sixth Man of the Year award was something that I felt was really special for me. It's special for anybody, anytime you win that award. But for me, you go from, my career, you come in the league, you're a starter. As you get older, things change. Better players come in, more talented players come in. And so for me, I was always a team player. What was good for the team was good for me. But when I was taken out of the starting lineup, that became a goal. I want to make sure that when I step out on the court, I'm having an impact. I'm making our team better. And I want to put the coach in a tough situation in terms of taking me out or not playing me as much. And so that was my whole mindset. And so to be able to win that award, it's very gratifying, but it's also a team award, because you don't win any individual awards in the NBA without the help of your teammates and the coaching staff and the medical staff. And so for me, I thought it was something that I was very, very happy to be a part of that, but also knew that I had wonderful people around me supporting me.
All right. So again, one of those weird questions. You Googled and YouTubed yourself when last?
Oh, wow.
Honestly.
It's been recent. It's probably been the last month or so, to be honest with you, because I was trying to get some information updated on my Wikipedia page. And so I wanted to see if that information had got updated. And so that was probably the last time I did it. But before that, I really never did that, to be honest with you.
Okay, you have to check out. There's a highlight tape of you, and a pretty nice one. A lot of your crazy passes. My favorite one was I think you were playing for the Phoenix Suns, where you I think you throw an alley-oop pass, you toss the ball just back to somebody.
Antonio McDyess.
Yes, exactly.
Phoenix Suns. Yeah, that was. Yeah, I remember that. That was one of my favorite passes. I as you get older, for me, my athleticism started to leave me. And so I get past the ball on the fast break, and it's everything I can do to run it down, and I can't come to a stop. And so I kind of caught a glimpse behind me, and I knew Dice was behind me, and I knew he was, Dice super athletic. I'm just going to throw it up, and let's see what happens. And, I threw it up, and he did the rest. He takes off and catches it and finishes on the break with a slam dunk, and it was a fun pass to see, because by the time I throw it behind my head, I get a chance to kind of turn around and see what's going to happen when he catches it and flushes it down. So that was a fun play to be a part of.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite plays of all time. Seriously. You played for the Utah Jazz, the Detroit Pistons, the Dallas Mavericks, and the Milwaukee Bucks. Was there any team where you would say, okay, that was the favorite team I ever played for?
For me, there are two teams that just stand out. And the first team I ever played on, the Los Angeles Clippers, because whenever, I got a chance to break into the league with them, and they selected me number one. So very thankful for that. And then two for me is the Phoenix Suns, because that's the first team I got to choose, hey, this is where I want to go play. Now, all the teams that I played for, I'm very fortunate and thankful and things of that nature. But those two teams were two teams that really hit home for me. And those were the two teams that I played for the longest as well.
Yeah.
So, for me, I'm going to say the Clippers and the Phoenix Suns.
All right. Not so long ago, everybody was talking about the Last Dance documentary. Do you also watch it?
I did not watch it.
No way. You got to be kidding me.
I did not watch it in its entirety.
Wow. So you were the one person that didn't watch it. Okay. Wow. Okay. Did you get bored?
I was there when it was happening.
So you're telling me you got bored after the first two episodes and you just left it at that?
No, I don't even know if I watched the first episode. It was just bits and pieces of, you see the different clips that would come on Sports Center, or the different online pieces that you would see, and so I could relate to it without question. And I thought the biggest thing about that was I thought the timing of it was spectacular.
Perfect.
To release it in that moment in time in history when we didn't have any live ball going on, I thought that was a marketing
genius.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. Your toughest matchup and why?
Toughest matchup and why? Well, I talked about Magic. He was always a tough matchup. But I'd probably say Kevin Mc Hale.
Everybody who played on the power forward position who played against Kevin, I can see why. I understand why.
He make a jump shot. Great post positioning, high release on his shot, so it's hard to alter and block. You very seldom saw a shot get blocked. Great footwork and moves on the post. And, he was somebody that, there were a lot of guys that gave me problems night in and night out. Don't get me wrong, but he's someone that you just like, the game's over and you're on the bus or you're back in the hotel and you're going over the game in your head and you're just like, damn, how did he make that move? What type of footwork? I got to go back and watch this. I got to see what he's doing because I need to incorporate some of this in my game. And so Kevin Mc Hale, to me, was probably one of my toughest matchups. But like I said, every night it was tough because you're going to, I think about the Western Conference where there was the power fours out there, Derek McKee, Detlef Schrempf. You move back to the East and there's Chuck Purse and there's Larry Bird. I mean, night in and night out, you had to come out and bring it. And, the competitive side, that was a lot of fun because you knew it was possible and capable for somebody that you're guarding to go for a career high if you don't come out and provide some type of resistance.
Yeah. Now, you kept yourself quite busy after your NBA career. You've been a successful coach, but there is a current project that I wanted to talk to you about. Is it true that you will be working for ESPN to analyze college games? Is that right?
That is right. I'm looking forward to being a part of the ESPN Disney family to talk college hoops, and hopefully we can get through a full season. But nonetheless, I'm really excited to share my passion and share my insight about the game of basketball.
And when is it starting?
Well, I'll start after Thanksgiving. And, right now everything is so fluid. There's so many moving pieces. And, right now there's some games that have been canceled and some things that have been altered. And so I'll go up to Bristol and be in the studio talking college basketball after Thanksgiving.
But that doesn't mean that your college career, your coaching career is over.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see. Okay, smart answer.
This will be the first time, actually, since I started playing bitty basketball that I hadn't been part of a team, so to speak. So it's kind of a unique and different experience. And, I'm taking it all in. I want to learn from all the colleagues and great people at ESPN that I'll get a chance to work with and just kind of see where it goes. I want to be involved in the game of basketball, and this is the next step for me. And we'll see how, like I said, see how it goes and see what the future holds for me down the road.
Teddy Manning, it was great to have you on the show. I wish you a lot of success as a analyst. I'm pretty sure. I mean, you have so much experience. It's a good choice to have you there, and I hope I will have you on the show every once in a while.